The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of Tuesday evening news. Tuesday evening
Welcome to everyone, and welcome to the Psychedelic Reporters for this Tuesday, episode 167, July 29th. Here on NOK Network. The video news podcast focus on psychedelic medicine and reported in mainstream media. Shout out to the guys in Dead Ringer from Kirkland Lake, Ontario for the awesome intro track, originally recorded by the Moody Blues, with some customized changes for our show. I am joined by my amazing joint host, Tara Simpson, along with the one and only Bufo Alvarius, who has chosen all of our stories for us. Hello, Tara.
Well, hello, hobbies, and hello, everyone. I'd like to take a minute to introduce Bufo. He's our Sonoran desert toad, or Colorado mud toad. Did you know he emits DMT from his skin? And while that sounds like fun, park rangers would like to remind everyone, please don't lick that toad.
Mm-mm.
Don't lick the toad.
Don't lick the toad. Sorry. It in my mouth. All right. So, speaking about things that you can lick, let's jump into the first article right away from ColoradoSun.com. You don't want to lick this, but it is now a new treatment. News Health. Colorado plans for rollout of ibogaine as the next regulated psychedelic plant medicine in healing centers. Regulators are discussing how to integrate ibogaine treatment into Colorado's psychedelic healing industry. Still, the drug faces an uncertain future, and this is written by Gabe Allen.
Yeah, this was an interesting article. We're hearing a lot more about ibogaine these days. In the late aughts, Talia Eisenberg was living in a glamorous life in New York City. At age 20, she founded the Heist Gallery, a small submersive establishment for young up-and-coming creatives. Over the next couple of years, she collaborated with artists, attended exhibitions, and stayed close to her large New York-based family. But behind the scenes, she was struggling with a heroin habit, one that started with a bottle of painkillers left over from a dental surgery. Multiple stints at expensive rehab centers hadn't helped. Nothing did until she sought out an underground provider that specialized in ibogaine, a plant-derived psychedelic compound sometimes used to treat addiction. I had a profound experience where I saw my grandmother and what she had survived, said Eisenberg, whose grandmother lived through the Holocaust. I knew that I had to make a difference in the world, and I saw that I would never put that poison in my body again. 16 years later, Eisenberg and her husband, Tom Fiegel, run Beyond, an ibogaine treatment therapy retreat center in Cancun, Mexico, that treats a range of mental health issues, funds new research, and advocates for ibogane's medical potential. It's a model that could be brought to Colorado in the not so distant future, following recent legal challenges. We are following the policy changes and the individual policymakers in Colorado very closely, Fiegel told The Sun at Psychedelic Science Conference in Denver last month. We're expected to be invited to do this in Colorado and other states as well. In 2023, Governor Jared Polis signed Senate Bill 290 titled the Natural Medicine Regulation Legalization Act, which led to psilocybin mushroom healing centers opening their doors in Colorado this summer. The act also decriminalized 3 other plant-derived psychedelic drugs, ibogaine, dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, and mescaline. The law specified that regulators cannot consider the latter 2 drugs for integration into healing centers until 2026 at the earliest, but no such restrictions were placed on ibogaine. And Siebes, Polis special advisor on cannabis and natural medicine, said that the lack of restrictions was reflective of lawmakers' optimism about the drug. Recognizing the unique benefits associated with this medicine and the extreme promises that it is showing in terms of treatment for a myriad of different challenges, we have the opportunity to accelerate introducing ibogaine as regulated medicine, he said during a panel at Psychedelic Science. Polis, who also mentioned ibogaine during a keynote speech at the conference, we're looking at opportunities to consider adding ibogaine treatment as efficiently as possible, he said. Before regulators can begin rulemaking for ibogaine, they must first receive a recommendation from the state's Natural Medicine Advisory Board, a panel of experts representing healthcare groups, indigenous practitioners, local municipalities, and other stakeholders. A spokesperson for the Natural Medicine Division said that the board's first broached the subject at a June 12th meeting, and there was not much to discuss. We anticipate the board will delve further into potential risks associated with the administration of ibogaine, the division wrote in an email to The Sun. We also want to have a better understanding of the ethical sourcing of iboga and ibogaine. For its promise, ibogaine also comes with inherent risks and ethical issues, one that Colorado regulators will grapple with in the coming months.
Promising results. The root of the West African iboga has been used by the indigenous people in spiritual practices for centuries. Thus far, Western scientific research has mostly focused on ibogaine, just one of the chemicals found in the root. The drug has shown promise for a number of applications, including treatment substance use disorders, depression, anxiety, traumatic brain injuries. Those who have experienced ibogaine say that it is a particularly intense psychedelic drug. An ibogaine trip can last for up to 3 days, much longer than psychedelics such as LSD or psilocybin. It's a dreamlike experience. Fiegel, the co-founder of Beyond, said, "The most meaningful memories of your existence are presented visually or symbolically. Oh yeah, there it is. Or symbolically. After the acute effects of the drug wear off, user report a period of openness to new ideas and habits that last for weeks. According to Victor and Pablo Acero, a doctoral scholar at the Ohio State University specializing in psychedelic treatment of traumatic brain injuries, this period provide a unique opportunity for therapeutic intervention. Like other psychedelics, it increases plasticity, as Sarah told The Sun. Ibogaine has the longest window for this critical period where you get to relearn habits and be in this very open, malleable plastic state. Researchers have also found that ibogaine provides a unique benefit to recovering opioid addicts. It lessens the symptoms of withdrawal. It's able to mitigate withdrawal symptoms and decrease cravings, which it really what makes getting off opioids so hard. That being able to mitigate that greatly improves the odds of somebody actually being able to go through treatment successfully. Though the research into ibogaine is promising, the center warns against overstating the results. So far, studies have been limited to relatively small cohorts and reports from treatment centers like Beyond. It's one of the least well understood, studied, and characterized psychedelics, he said. Regardless of that, the studies that have been conducted are showing its potential. Ibogaine remains a Schedule One drug at a federal level, which means that robust clinical trials investigating the drug require FDA approval. Texas will seek that approval in the coming months after state lawmakers passed a bill directing $50 million towards ibogaine into ibogaine research. But even if Texas research program is approved, the process will take years. Oh my, this is great art.
Yeah. In the meantime, a regulated ibogaine healing industry in Colorado could provide researchers with another source for valuable data on ibogaine assisted therapy. In June, Colorado passed a new law that requires the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment to report behavioral health outcome data for patients who go through psychedelic healing work. The law also requires the department to make this data freely available to researchers. This data is invaluable, Sieg told the audience at Psychedelic Science. It was really important to keep it free, accessible, and open source. Inherent risks. A Colorado regulator weighs the pros and cons of bringing ibogaine to natural medicine healing centers. One consideration looms large over the conversation. According to case reports, several people have died during or following ibogaine administration. The cause of these deaths is still unclear, and some may be complicated by opioids or other drugs. One risk, though, is well defined. Ibogaine can have a heartbeat irregularity known as long QT syndrome. Researchers think that this symptom could lead to heart attacks in rare cases. This might explain some or all ibogaine-related deaths, which again, if they're doing their homework and they're making patients go for the appropriate testing to make sure that their heart is healthy, as Patrick and Michelle Fishley do quite often, if there's any issues, they will not administer. They want to make sure you have a clean bill of health. Again, when you're treating drug addiction, I mean, they're supposed to come in clean to this ceremony, but as we know, sometimes they try to beat the system, and unfortunately, that could have led to a couple of deaths. It's hard to treat addiction, right?
Yeah. Yeah, medical professionals can manage the dangers of long QT syndrome, though careful monitoring and intravenous dose of magnesium. Experts say the risk of heart failure is low if ibogaine is administered under medical supervision. It's not a hugely life-threatening thing if you're in a clinical setting. Whether you're monitoring this, Acero said, the most dangerous thing is being in a setting that does have adequate training or clinical staff. Beyond employs a team of doctors, cardiology experts, and nurses to oversee their clients to Cancun from start to finish. Even so, the company has not been able to completely eliminate risk. In 2022, a 49-year-old opioid addict from South Carolina died during treatment at this facility. For some, his death sparked newfound skepticism in the safety of the drug. David's death is a cautionary tale for the nascent ibogaine industry, journalist Matthew Busby wrote in Rolling Stone magazine using a pseudonym for the man who died. Busby says he briefly met David while undergoing a free ibogaine treatment at the clinic. Treatment with the powerful psychedelic has great promises in easing the spiraling human losses from the opioid crisis, but treatment can be fraught with danger. Many unanswered questions remain how ibogaine operates in the body. If ibogaine treatment is brought to Colorado, Fegel hopes regulators craft strict clinical standards for administering the drug. You need a medical doctor at every stage, and you need qualified nursing staff as well, he said. The safety measures in place have beyond make ibogaine treatment more akin to a surgery than to forms of psychedelic healing work. At least in terms of staffing requirements, he said this is greatly increases the cost. Treatment at Beyond ranges from $9,500 to $19,500, depending on how far in advance clients book. Stays typically last about 10 days. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if they're doing multiple sessions, right? Like we know one ibogaine session can last like 3 days, but they obviously want them there beforehand, during, and then for integration probably afterwards. Yeah, Field Gel speculated that in Colorado, ibogaine treatment would likely be unaffordable for most patients unless the state requires insurers to cover it. It will probably require a state mandate to say, if you want to sell insurance in Colorado, you have to cover this procedure, Fiegel said. There's good reason to do that because of all the economic impact of the benefits of ibogaine treatment. Fiegel then pointed to the enormous public cost of opioid use disorder. According to the CDC, opioid addiction and overdose cost Colorado more than $14 billion in 2017. Even though the procedure may be cost prohibitive at a patient payer level, in the end, it's cheaper because it's a more effective treatment, Fiegel said. Colorado lawmakers are well aware of the medical risks associated with ibogaine. The Senate Bill 290 decriminalized possession and personal use of the drug, along with other plant medicines named in the legislation. But the law also specified that ibogaine remained illegal to share. In other words, it's legal to possess and use it, but criminal to give it to a friend. Given the unique risk profiles associated with ibogaine, we took away the sharing provisions, Seep said. So great. You want everyone running around using it all by themselves with no supervision? I don't know. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Honoring traditions at the Psychedelic Science Conference last month, researchers, including Asato, shared research results with a ballroom of curious attendees during a panel titled Studies of Ibogaine Therapy and Safety. After the panel, a woman named Pamela Nagunderosaria stood at the mic to ask a question. Rosario came from a family of Widi practitioners and indigenous spiritual tradition with roots in the West African nation of Gabon that incorporates Iboga into an initiation rites and healing ceremonies. What role we play in these modern ibogaine therapies and treatments and research to make sure that the spirit of the medicine is honored and that our values are not disrespected or forgotten or dismissed, she asked the panel. The researchers expressed interest in collaborating with Bewitty healers while also citing ethical and logistical barriers to integrating indigenous practices into Western science. It's a question that the Colorado regulators too are considering. At that June 12th meeting, The Natural Medicine Advisory Board watched a YouTube video of Mamboy, a grandmaster of Boili tradition, offering his support to a now defunct Kentucky initiative for ibogaine research. I would like to express the hope that this commission will adopt a resolution that will lead our spirit and strengthen our ongoing commitments to the quality of life of people suffering from addiction, particularly in the United States, and to the guardians of tradition in Gabon. Well, while said, um, Colorado regulators may seek a similar endorsement in the presentation given at the end June 12th meeting. Ibogaine treatment experts are urged the board to reach out to Gabonese officials with a letter of interest to participate in traditional knowledge share on exploitation. Huh.
Yeah. Even if Colorado receives support from the Bwiti practitioners, some indigenous groups may see this move as exploitive if it's not paired with reciprocal benefits. In June, the state-appointed federally recognized American Tribes and Indigenous Community Working Group released their first annual report on Colorado's natural medicine program. In it, they addressed inherent power dynamics between indigenous natural medicine practitioners and the state. Some indigenous people are leaving their traditional cultural training to work in profit-driven retreat centers, raising concerns about whether they can truly give informed consent without feeling exploited, authors wrote. Ensuring fair compensation and respect for individuals and their communities is crucial. An uncertain future. Ibogaine's pathway to becoming a regulated natural medicine in Colorado is still complex and uncertain, but according to SEEB, the Polis administration remains hopeful they can introduce ibogaine before the governor's final term is up in November of 2026. The hope is that we'll have an opportunity to see something happen prior to him departing as governor, SEEB told Psychedelic Science attendees. Of course, this vision is dependent on the checks and balances that the administration helped craft into law. In the coming months, the advisory board will work with regulators and stakeholders to determine if Colorado can offer ibogaine treatment safely and ethically. If the answer is yes, the state may be the first in the nation to implement such a program. That's awesome.
That is awesome. Where are we? Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah. And now we have a next article.
Yeah. So our next article actually comes right from kgw.com. And this is RFK Jr. floats green-lighting psychedelic therapy. What does this mean for Oregon's psilocybin industry? The Trump administration has seemingly given a green light to dig into psychedelic therapy, and amid Oregon's struggling psilocybin industry. This is in Oregon, USA, written by Amy Zayashi DePaul.
Yeah. After lobbying for years about the benefits of currently illegal mind-altering substances for those struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and other chronic conditions, the industry may be getting a break from an unexpected source. This month, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. told members of Congress that the method has tremendous advantage if given in a clinical setting, and that we are working very hard to make sure that it happens within 12 months. Kennedy has also said that his son and several of his friends have used psychedelics to cope with debilitating trauma and depression. President Donald Trump's pick for Surgeon General, Dr. Casey Means, has also lauded the use of guided psilocybin-assisted therapy, saying in a 2024 book that it has helped her personally and that the use of such a substance has been stigmatized. The administration also hired multiple staffers with ties to the alternate medicine movement, including a U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and U.S. Drug Administration, and even red states are beginning to jump on the bandwagon. But the nod of approval has sparked conflicting emotions among health experts, considering Kennedy's questionable recommendations about vaccines, antidepressants, fluoride, as well as influencer means uncompelled medical residency, and her attributing the cause of chronic diseases such as infertility, Alzheimer's, depression, and erectile dysfunction to the American diet. She's not wrong. Just my opinion. What we eat is fucking our bodies up. So Kennedy has also made deep cuts at HHS, with health experts sounding the alarm about the administration kneecapping scientifically backed research and work to counteract diseases, including the once eradicated measles, as well as spreading misinformation about the public, particularly on vaccines.
Oh, yeah. Oregon and psilocybin therapy. Oregon is the first state to legalize supervised psilocybin therapy. In this legislative session, Governor Tina Kotek signed off on a bill that allows doctors and therapists to suggest or discuss psilocybin therapy with patients. A judge has recently denied Oregon's motion to dismiss a lawsuit put forth by licensed or trained psilocybin providers who claim that the Oregon Health Authority violated the Americans with Disabilities Act by denying them the ability to provide home-based services to people with disabilities or a terminal illness. However, the state's treatment centers are struggling to stay afloat with the cost, more so than the stigma, keeping patients away. A 3-part session averages about $2,500 and is rarely covered by insurance. OPB found that the majority of participants in the state's psilocybin therapy program appear to be disproportionately wealthy, and Oregon Health Authority data shows that 397 people in household income brackets about 95,376 have sought psilocybin therapy, compared to 355 making below 95,376. Though 247 patients marked that they do not wish to answer, Oregon's median household income was 80,426 of 4,000 or 2,024. One reason is why this particularly therapy is so expensive, explained Heidi Pendergast, is the Oregon director of nonprofit Healing Advocacy Fund, is healing unlike cannabis. For example, it's a time-consuming process, with facilitators often spending up to 15 hours with the patient. Moreover, heavy licensing fees and the state forbidding centers and facilitators to advertise their services have put a kink in the business's survival, as well as heavy tax burdens due to the psilocybin being illegal on a federal level, as is classified as a Schedule 1 controlled substance. Ooh.
Yeah, voters in the communities across the state in recent years have also chosen to ban psilocybin businesses within city limits. Moreover, psilocybin therapy is not recommended for some in certain mental health conditions, though it has helped some process their emotions including a Portland mom who lost her son a year and a half ago. This experience was probably one of the most profound gifts that I've ever received in my entire life because it encompassed my entire life. And now I get to experience the rest of my life in a new way, Danielle Clock told KGW after her session on an episode of Straight Talk. Dr. Edie Ray Wilson Poe, assistant scientist at Legacy Health's R.S. Dow Neurobiology Laboratory, shared why psilocybin might be helpful on a neurological and physical level. There are active ingredients inside these mushrooms that bind to certain receptors or proteins in our brain. When that binding occurs, it causes a change in the brain's activity, as she explained. One of the things that happens is that new connections between neurons or brain cells are formed, and thus the process allows someone to see things from a new perspective and therefore may be therapeutic. Beyond mental health, Wilson Poe said psilocybin may prove useful for those experiencing chronic pain as well as inflammatory and immune disorders. And I would agree with that. As a pain patient, it does in fact help my pain levels. Just something I found out by accident. In Oregon, the number of negative physical consequences to psilocybin has been minimal, with no severe medical reactions that required hospital transfer reported, according to Pendergast. Still, there's so much unknown, said Wilson Poe, who's researching improving the quality and safety of supervised psilocybin services. Although we're all super excited to be having data, we do have a lot of room to grow, Wilson Poe acknowledged. Overall, research into psilocybin and similar substances have including long-term effects, is a fairly new, not conclusive. Under the Biden administration, the Food and Drug Administration rejected MDMA, commonly known under the names ecstasy or Molly, for treating post-traumatic stress disorder. The Trump administration may go the other way, though it remains to be unseen.
Oh man, I love these news articles because it brings the realism of how close all this is. It's being talked, but it's past the talk about stage. It's now,
yeah, for sure.
And our next article comes out of hightimes.com. And this is one of my favorite because I remember we read that High Times changed hands. And now, it's back to people advocating for things. And now that it says in the psychedelic section, 1 dose, 2 years, psilocybin can ease depression in cancer patients. New research shows. A new study shows 1 dose of psilocybin can ease depression in cancer patients for up to 2 years. Here's how the science stacks up, and this is written by Jeff Siegel.
Yeah, in 1984, my grandfather took his last breath and shuffled off his mortal coil after a nasty bout with cancer. I was only 13 at the time and probably didn't fully understand the pain he was in. Not just physically, but mentally too. He always put on a brave face, but that depression he battled must have been brutal and likely contributed to the degradation of his immune system, which was already compromised as a result of the cancer. After all, today we know that cancer patients battling depression are at risk of increased risk of mortality compared to those non-depressed patients, which is why researchers are always looking for new ways to help cancer patients effectively treat their depression. One new treatment, which shows tremendous promise, comes from the psychedelic compound that many High Time readers are familiar with, psilocybin. Mushrooms are medicine. Back in 1989, had you told me that the mushrooms I was about to eat could potentially help treat depression, I would have shrugged my shoulders. Like most 18-year-olds, I was just looking to have some fun. I had heard so many stories about mushrooms and was excited to experience the magical hallucinations and a voyage into a world of magic and fascination. Indeed, my first experience with mushrooms was a positive one, although I really had no idea of just how powerful a small piece of dried fungus would be, and how over the years it would serve as an important tool in battling some of my own personal mental health struggles. Making no mistake, mushrooms are medicine. The truth is, psilocybin can be used as a potential treatment for a variety of illnesses and diseases. And in these pages, I'll share all the wonderful ways mushrooms can heal us mentally and emotionally and physically.
To be sure, this is not just me waxing poetic about my experiences and random anecdotal evidence. As an investigative researcher, my analysis is always guided by science and data, and my intention is to share this science and data with you as it pertains to the subject matter High Times is for. This is why I'm now sharing with you a fascinating study that was recently published in the journal Cancer. According to the results of a recent clinical trial conducted by research in Rockville, Maryland, a single dose of psilocybin coupled with talk therapy has the potential to relieve depression in cancer patients for up to 2 years. As reported by lead author of the study, Dr. Manish Agrawal, 53.6% of the patients involved in the study demonstrated significant reduction in depression, and 50% had sustained depression reduction. As well, 46.4% of the study's participants experienced significant reduction in anxiety, with 42.9% having sustained anxiety and reduction. Here's what Dr. Gold had to say about the results. One dose of psilocybin with psychological support to treat depression has a long-term positive impact on reliving depression for as much as 2 years for a substantial portion of patients with cancer. And we're exploring whether repeating the treatment resolves depression for more than half of the patients if randomized testing shows similar results. This could lead to the grade of psilocybin to treat depression in patients with cancer. If you're a data geek like me, you access the results of the study here, and there's a clicky linky link. Wow.
Yeah. Of course, this isn't the first study we've seen where psilocybin has been used to treat depression. There's actually been around 40 clinical trials focused on using psilocybin as treatment for depression, and even more in preclinical phases. The largest ever conducted was published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2022. It was a multi-center clinical trial led by Compass Pathways that spanned across 22 international sites in 10 different countries. According to the good folks at King's College London, which took part in the study, researchers found that a 25 milligram dose of psilocybin, along with psychological support, had a significant impact on reducing symptoms of depression in participants with treatment-resistant depression. The World Health Organization estimates that more than 280 million people across the globe suffer from depression, and about 10 million of those people suffer from treatment-resistant depression. To clarify, patients that have been unable to respond to at least 2 antidepressant treatments are considered to have treatment-resistant depression. So, as you can imagine, if psilocybin can prove to be an effective treatment for those suffering from depression or treatment-resistant depression, this could be a major mental health breakthrough. Multiple clinical trials are still underway, and of course, we'll keep you posted as results are verified and published. So that's very cool.
It is. It is. Man, how cool are these studies? And it was high times. It's wow, how cool. So it's medication time.
And that's right, folks. It is time to pay some bills. So stay tuned for a word from some of our sponsors, and then we'll return with more articles Bufos chosen, making mainstream media news.
Back in 4 minutes and 20 seconds here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network.
Are you frantically pounding away on your keyboard these days? To discuss your views, share your passions, teach a skill, or share a craft to the masses on social media. Podcasting is a bright light that can help you reach a diverse audience. And the NOK Network can help. Even if you have no experience, NOK Network will work with you to develop your content to air on our diverse network to reach a wide audience, allowing us to grow together. Podcasts are aired on multiple platforms simultaneously across social media and streaming sites live through our network. Contact us and let's chat about how we can help you develop your podcast and join the NOK team.
Hey, hi, my name is John Mark, aka Sublimator Warrior, and I would like to welcome you to Smoke Signal in Tyendinaga.
One dab make your whole dome drip sweat. One dab make the homies all dip set.
Smoke signals, Tyendinaga.
Smoke signals, Tyendinaga.
Smoke signals, Tyendinaga.
Ooey, ooey, gooey, that's a sticky dab. Sticky dab. Might just have to put this one on Instagram.
Smoke signals,
Go ahead,
Tyendinaga.
hold it in, feel it in your wrist.
Smoke signals, Tyendinaga.
Check us out in Tyendinaga. 55 Highway 49 in Tyendinaga. It's on the res, and we're open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week.
Now we get back to the show.
And we're back from our medication session live here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network.
And we have another set of stories coming at you from the realm of psychedelic medicine. So let's get at it. So the next story comes out of newstoday.com, Australia. And it says psychedelic clinic trial for depression comes to the Sunshine Coast. And this is, I don't see who it's written by.
Yeah, neither do I.
By Dr. Jim Labotus?
Possibly. Yeah. A pioneering regional mental health clinic has been selected as Queensland's only site for a landmark international clinical trial into psychedelic assisted therapy for depression. Led locally by the Brain and Mind Hub in Maroochydore, the Embrace trial will assess whether a novel investigational psychedelic drug similar to psilocybin can reduce symptoms of major depressive disorder. Brain and Mind Hub Director and Chief Executive Officer Dr. Jim Legopoulos, PhD, said the launch of the clinical trial marks a major milestone in the clinic's first year of operation and reflects its growing involvement in next-generation treatments for depression. This is a world-class trial, and we're proud to be offering people access to it here on the Sunshine Coast, Dr. Legopoulos said. There's growing global interest in how psychedelic therapies may address complex mental health conditions and mounting evidence that when paired with psychological supports, they may modulate the brain circuits involved in depression, changing how thoughts and emotions are processed. This trial is an important step in understanding whether a combined approach, psychedelic therapy, psychological support, and standard antidepressants can promote meaningful healing for those living with MDD. The investigational drug has already shown promising results in a phase 1 and phase 2 trials and is now entering phase 3 with broader testing at selective sites worldwide. Brain and Mind Hub is one of just 5 Australian sites selected, with 3 in Victoria, 1 in Sydney, and the Sunshine Coast representing Queensland. Additional international sites are being finalized. By the time the drug reaches phase 3 trials, it's already undergone rigorous early stage testing for safety and dosing and will now be tested in larger populations, Dr. Legopoulos said. Wow, that's cool.
It is. This stage is about the scale. It's where we begin to see whether the treatment is not promising, but truly effective for a broader population. It's a critical step for any new therapy can be considered for wider clinical use. Since opening its doors 1 year ago, Brain and Mind Hub has emerged as a national leader in integrated mental health care, bringing cutting-edge neuroscience-backed treatments to the Sunshine Coast through a unique model that unites psychiatrists, psychologists, nurse practitioners, allied health, and peer support under one roof. It's a model that Dr. Legopoulos says is more important than ever. It's in the past, we've seen a real increase in the complexity of mental health needs across the region. And it reinforces why our integrated model and multidisciplinary team approach is so vital. It allows us to deliver personalized care that adapts to each person's unique and evolving needs, Dr. Legopoulos said. To date, the clinic has delivered nearly 300 appointments to people across the Sunshine State. Gympie, Bay, Burnett regions, and continues to receive receive around 100 new inquiries every month. Dr. Megan Newton, Manager of Clinical Services and Research Coordinator at Brain of Mind Hub, said the clinic's rare combination of neuroscience informed care, advanced diagnostics, and evidence based therapies have been in high demand since day one. We've already supported hundreds of patients at our clinic, offering a range of innovative therapies tailored to the individual needs. These include oral ketamine therapy and newly introduced Spravato nasal spray and advanced transcranial magnetic stimulation protocols, Dr. Newton said. Wow.
Yeah. We're one of only 3 clinics on the Sunshine Coast to offer Spravato, and the only site to offer advanced neuro navigated TMS, and it's making a real difference. Whether it's the TMS, esketamine, or now psychedelic assisted therapy, there are treatments that until recently were only available overseas or in major metropolitan centers, and now they're right here on the coast, offering real hope to people who have felt stuck or unsupported by traditional medical approaches.
Wow. Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. It's like Australia, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're doing trials there. So, I mean, it's happening around the world. We're seeing results, and positive ones at that. So it's just a matter of time before they have to, get off their high horses and allow this to happen for people.
Yeah, speaking about high horses, so the people, this is another good article on um, if you're watching stocks of big companies, and this comes out of proactiveinvestors.com, and it talks about ATI Life Sciences poised to lead treatment resistant depression market with psychedelic candidate. And man, great article. This
Mm-hmm.
is
So, Atai Life Sciences is gaining momentum in the psychedelic space, with Jefferies analysts highlighting the company's potential to leapfrog rival GH Research and establish a leading position in the treatment-resistant depression market with its intranasal 5-MeO DMT candidate BPL-003. The analysts maintain a buy rate and rating and $7 price target at Atai, about double the stock's price at the time of writing. Shares of Atai traded up 6.5% at the $3.76 mark in the early afternoon on Wednesday, having surged about 185% in the year to date. Jefferies argued that Atai has a chance to get ahead of GH Research and earn new chemical entity exclusivity, a form of market protection granted by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to drug sponsors who develop and receive approval for completely new, never before approved active ingredient, citing the more advanced regulatory status of BPL-003 compared to GHR's GH001. Wow, okay.
Yeah, and this is written by Emily Jarvie. GH001 remains under an FDA clinical hold as of July 2025 due to the concerns requiring additional inhalation toxicology studies and device validation, while ATAI and its partner Berkeley Sci-Tech are moving forward with BPL-003, including the recent release of positive phase 2B trial results. The analyst highlighted the company will be meeting with the FDA in the second half of the year to discuss its phase 3 strategy, whereas GH Research still may need to get its clinical hold lifted. ATAI's asset has multiple advantages, the analysts believe, We maintain the BPL-003 has produced one of the most differentiated psychedelic data sets, including single-dose efficacy durability, which has positive implications to sales, they wrote. ATAI's trial design is more robust, featuring an 8-week blinded treatment phase followed by an 8-week open label extension compared to THRS's shorter 8-day blinded period and 6-month extension. The anti-satellite. Wow.
Yeah, so BPL-003 also benefits from more precise intranasal delivery system using Aptar technology, the same platform used in Johnson & Johnson's FDA-approved esketamine spray, Spravato, whereas GH001 relies on a vaporization device requiring multiple breaths. In terms of dosing, BPL-003 is potentially more practical, Jeffries wrote. GH001 allows up to 5 individual dosing regimens during the open label phase, totaling as many as 15 doses, which would demand more frequent clinic visits. In contrast, BPL-003 is designed around a simpler single-dose model. Looking ahead, Atai plans to release new 8-week open lab extension data and 2-week dose introduction results in Q3 of 2025, followed by a pivotal FDA meeting in the second half of the year. Jeffrey believes these milestones could support a breakthrough therapy designation from the FDA and enable initiation of a phase 3 program in 2026. Ultimately, we think BPL-003 has the best in-class potential, supporting a $1 billion plus opportunity in TRD, the analysis concluded. Wow, that's pretty cool.
It is, and I want to point out that this is edited by the editor, and it wrote it that this record is published on behalf of ATI Life Sciences, a paid client of Proactive. So this is actually a paid client of the article thing that we read. So
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying there was biasness, but I'm just saying.
Right.
The next article is psychologytoday.com, and I'm glad Bufo found this, because this is what like your therapist may be reading or having in his daily subscription, and basing his views on this article. And the paradox of expectations in psychedelic clinical research. Embracing potential disappointments in psychedelic research can foster healing. And this is reviewed by Margaret Foley and written by Mark Bates, PhD.
Yeah, as the field of mental health continues to evolve, psychedelic drugs are increasingly undergoing rigorous scientific research for their therapeutic potential. Molecules like psilocybin, MDMA, and DMT are being investigated in a variety of clinical trials, each with distinct protocols, dosages, and therapeutic approaches, aiming to understand the efficacy for conditions ranging from depression to post-traumatic stress to anxiety in cancer patients. As anyone considering exploring psychedelic therapy, whether as a participant, therapist, or researcher, may already know, it is often expectations that most shape the experience. Because psychedelic substances profoundly alter perception for extended periods, expectation setting is crucial, as it helps ground participants when their unusual sensory or cognitive frameworks are shifting, preventing confusion and distress that might arise from misinterpretations of the altered state. Acknowledging potential disappointments upfront within research environments can paradoxically create a more trusting environment for surrender and engagement. Addressing potential disappointment can directly allow difficult feelings to soften as they are discussed in a safe therapeutic context and metabolized. When disappointments do arise, they can become a valuable opportunity for growth and integration. The role of expectations. Clinical trials differ from traditional therapy in structured protocols and often limit post-dosing and post-trial support. Additionally, participants with vast past medical trauma may hesitate to voice concerns, fearing that doing so will affect their treatment. Therapists must recognize that participants have faced deep disappointments before, making it essential to approach expectation setting with care, transparency, and deep compassion. A key aspect of expectation setting is clarifying that the primary goal of clinical trials is research. While participants coming in hoping for a personal healing, the one guaranteed benefit of their involvement is a contribution to scientific exploration and understanding. This aspect alone can be meaningful for some participants.
3 common disappointments in psychedelic therapy. Disappointment is not failure. By normalizing its possibilities, researchers help participants minimize self-judgment and use challenges as opportunities for growth. 3 common areas of disappointment include being screened out before dosing. For ethical and safety reasons, not every interested participant qualifies for treatment. Screening is rigorous to ensure well-being, but rejection can feel deeply disappointing. On screening day, some may underreport struggle, while others overreport distress, both in hopes of inclusion. Either can lead to misalignment with the treatment model, affecting both safety and effectiveness. Preparing participants for preparing. Oh man, where'd my thing go? Can you take over for a second?
Yeah, where did we leave off? Where did we leave off? Right there. Okay. Preparing participants for potential ineligibility and emphasizing that it is a research safeguard, not personal rejection, helps them navigate the process with greater acceptance. Having a low intensity experience, many participants expect a profound life-changing journey, but experiences vary due to a variety of factors, including individual neurobiology, dose response, and inherent unpredictability of response to psychedelic drugs. For those who perceive that they will receive a placebo or low dose, the emotional impact can be significant. They feel they've wasted their opportunity or question the experience's therapeutic value. The post-session integration phase can be marked by grief, anger, or doubt. Validating such feelings is essential. Some assume that high intensity sessions should equate with deeper healing, only to realize that transformation unfolds in unexpected ways. One participant initially felt disappointed by his mild experience, but later noticed profound shifts in his daily life. He reframed his belief that only intense peak experiences matter. The truth is that we do not know exactly what type of experiences are healing and why. Moreover, the relationship a person has with their experience may be at least as important as the type of experience itself.
Yeah, having the intense experience is number 3, but not the desired outcome. Perhaps the most difficult disappointment in undergoing a powerful emotional experience without immediate transformation, or even one that leads to decompensation. Such an outcome can be especially hard for those struggling with severe depression, who may have viewed this session as a definitive turning point. Healing through psychedelics is rarely linear. Insights may have untold over time, and subtle shifts in perspective can prove deeply meaningful. Little big shifts, small but significant changes in behavior or emotional processing often emerges gradually. Encouraging patience and openness helps participants recognize such shifts, building trust by naming the possibilities. Wow, that's a cool one.
Mm-hmm. Psychedelic therapy requires open discussion of potential disappointments, which is a large part of monitoring for safety and strengthens trust. When participants hear that their fears and concerns are anticipated, they feel seen and supported. Going towards rather than avoiding potential challenging or uncomfortable emotions is often what can lead to some kind of transformation in the session, such attitude must be practiced and discussed freely throughout preparation. Psychedelic therapy is not passive. It requires active participation. Realizational dynamics play a significant role, especially for those sensitive to shame. And if an experience does not meet expectations, some may feel they failed. Normalizing a spectrum of responses helps prevent self-blame and foster curiosity over judgment. Most importantly, participants must understand that there is no wrong way to do what they're doing, whether an experience is blissful, difficult, or subtle. It can have meaning. Framing the journey is this way reduces performance pressure and encourages openness. The healing path, much more than a single experience. Healing with psychedelics is not about a singular moment of transformation. It is an open and ongoing process of integration, self-discovery, and connection. Setting and therapeutic support creates the conditions for meaningful experiences, and the journey continues long after the session. By embracing all possibilities, including disappointment, as part of the therapeutic process, participants and therapists can cultivate deep trust, resilience, and self-awareness. And the paradox of expectation setting becomes clear. The more we acknowledge the unknown, the more we empower participants to navigate with courage. While exploring trust and curiosity, true healing can unfold.
Yeah, I like this, and it even goes on to talk about his career, which is a clinical psychologist at Sunstone Therapies, who provides psychedelic assisted therapy. Man, that's so. Man, it's his job. So it's the other therapists now are reading his views and his experience, and now like.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, so I think read news. Oh, thank you for joining us here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network, and for tuning in to our video podcast on NOK Network's Rumble and YouTube pages, as well as our social media sites.
That's right, folks. We hope you enjoyed your update today of mainstream media coverage of psychedelic medicine advancements from around the globe.
Many thanks to our sponsors, to Kim Cooper helping produce in the background, to my joint host Tara Simpson, and to Booful of Various for making this show possible, to you, our listeners, for joining each week on Psychedelics Tuesdays. Let's hear from Dead Ringer again. For Kirkland Lake on our way up. Night!
Night!
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty